Oh my god, guys. I mean, I went ahead and I watched Monday Night Raw for 3 hours, and holy shit, I was full of excitement, full of happiness, and my goodness, was it entertaining for 3 whole hours. And boy, oh boy, did we get great storyline progression. Everybody was excited. The crowd was excited. And my God, I am just talking out of my ass here. Gotcha. Not really. I don't think any of you bought that for 1 second. You guys all know what my opinion is of WWE and what they do. And tonight, I gave them an opportunity, and what did they do with it? They blew it. Like they do every fucking week on a Monday Night Raw. I won't be surprised they give us a shitty 2 hours of SmackDown, but at least with SmackDown, it's only for 2 hours instead of three. So thank God for that. Not to mention all the commercial breaks we got in between of every little thing that happened during the show. And boy, was it long as fuck. It felt like it was never going to end. Like Bray Wyatt's little fucking ending promo of the show when it went off the air. Holy fuck, was this show bad. And I mean bad to the bone. And not in a good way either. Like that song, Bad to the Bone. This was just fucking utterly ridiculous shit. There was nothing to this. They had no path. They had nothing. The only thing that was noteworthy is that they announced that Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks were competing inside the Hell in a Cell match. Other than that, the rest of this show was fucking horrendous. It had nothing to it. There was nothing exciting about it. There was more burials in this show than you can shake a stick at, two of which I can name off the top of my head. The tag team division alone was demolished by Braun Strowman in the first hour of the show. God help the tag team division of WWE. Then we got Cedric Alexander in the next segment of the show getting buried like a chump, being defeated, and then at that point there was an aftermath brawl that occurred, and Cedric Alexander gets his ass kicked again by AJ Styles. So how can we even take Cedric Alexander seriously as a contender for the United States Championship? You can't. Basically, he's more buried than Ricochet was when he faced AJ Styles, and Ricochet didn't do so good against him either. Everyone that is competing against AJ Styles that looks like a promising opponent and someone that could turn into something more than just a mid-card champion turns out to be nothing after all. They can't even win the mid-card title, which is the United States on Raw. What a fucking joke. Very pathetic, very sad, and a lot of great talent that I like to watch and yet can't really see at all. I can't bear to sit through this shit, but I'm gonna, because I want to help this channel out. I want to make my channel better. I want to take this shit seriously. I work a full-time job, but I'm willing to do this because I want to make this channel more than what it is, just for the sake of putting up videos and hoping something sticks. I want to provide you guys with my own content, belief, and feelings on this show from top to bottom, from beginning to end. Whether it is good or it is bad, I'm going to give it to you and give it to you for real. Just like any other person who has a brain in their head that watches this shit. I'm a fan of WWE, but at the same time, when you watch your team that you root for lose all the time, it gets very disparaging. It makes you feel very full of, no interest in watching them. If you don't believe me, go watch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Be a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, you'll know how you feel. Because being a Buccaneers fan is very painful. That's why I'm a Cowboys fan. And I wear a Raiders cap while I'm saying that. But yeah, I do like the Raiders as well. Moving to Las Vegas, I might as well represent the Raiders in this case, since they are moving to the Las Vegas next year. So overall, that's just how I feel on the subject. But anyway, I've been a Cowboys fan from beginning to end since the day I could open my little blue eyes and see Emmitt Smith running a football across the field and seeing Troy Aikman throw the ball to Michael Irvin and so on and so forth. And I've just been a fan of theirs since I was a kid. So I'm never going to stop rooting for the Dallas Cowboys, but I've become a fan of the Raiders over time, and I really enjoy watching them play. Whether they win or lose, it doesn't matter to me because, at this point, they show strides of trying to be something more than just a average Joe team. They went out and got Antonio Brown, which was a complete failure, may I add. But at least they tried to do something with that team and build up the roster, unlike the Miami Dolphins. But let's get away from all football talk. Football was a complete catastrophe as well. If you watched the football game, it was Cleveland Browns versus the Jets. 23-3 is what the score was from the last time I checked, which was in the late part of the fourth quarter. And I guarantee you the ratings in Monday Night Football with the Browns and Jets beat this fucking Monday Night Raw episode. Guarantee you. And they had a clear shot and opportunity to provide us something solid and worth watching, and we got nothing out of it. So, there you go. Let's kick things off here, shall we? We had Seth Rollins enter in the middle of the ring, pretty much describing his whole situation, what him and Braun Strowman did throughout the entire match, describing how physical and tough Braun Strowman really is, to take 4 curb stomps and a pedigree to put him away. Not to mention, he took a lot of damage from Braun Strowman directly from offensive move from Braun Strowman. At the end of the day, did we really get anything out of this? Not really. The Fiend, I honestly, looking back on this now, I'm going to go on record and tell you guys that I think The Fiend should have done what he did at the Clash of Champions at SummerSlam after he beat Brock Lesnar. I think that match would have worked better with the Clash of Champions than leading it into a Hell in a Cell match where it led to a no contest in the main event. Unfortunately, we would have had 2 no contest matches between with Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins' matches. So I don't know if that would have really worked, but I would have preferred that really in this case because it would have given more reason to why they're having a Hell in a Cell match right out of the gate with only a 3-week build that they have to use at this point because Hell in a Cell is on October 6th. So I honestly think that would have worked out better in their favor, but in this situation, whatever. Anyway, yeah, they talk about that. Then they have Firefly Funhouse. Bray Wyatt shows up waving and greeting his Fireflies. He calls Seth his future best friend, which later on in the show you see him with a pictures of Kurt Angle, Mick Foley, whatchamacallit, trying to think of who else, Finn Balor, and one other, and Jerry the King Lawler, he attacked as well, and those were supposedly his friends, which the Fiend attacked anyway. So Bray Wyatt's playing this schizoid, multi-personality, out of his mind mentality, and he's really playing it to the bone here. I think it's a little overkill, but he kind of reminds me of like an It character where he consumes the souls of the wrestlers and injures them and puts them away. You don't really see much of them for a while. That kind of thing. I kind of get that kind of feeling from this, which I do appreciate. But is he really going to win the Universal Championship? He should, honestly. This is the best opportunity to get the best villain possible, and Bray Wyatt is it. He's got the best gimmick, really, out of anybody. He would be great for the Universal Championship. He would bring prestige to that title, Fuck Baron Corbin, which later on I will discuss what happened in that match, and that was an absolute joke in itself. So let's go ahead and move through here. Like I said earlier, Braun Strowman shows up at the show in the backstage. The reporter, Chol, whatever her fucking name is, asks him, "So why is he here? What do you have in mind?" And he says, "Well, whoever's in the ring is gonna get these hands. Same old gimmick, rah bullshit. Who cares?" We come back from commercial. We have Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode inside the middle of the ring with the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Revival. So we're having this so-called Tag Team Summit, which is an absolute joke. We don't get any kind of, help to build this tag team division in any way, shape, or form, with Braun Strowman running around, beating the hell out of all four men, single-handedly, may I add. That's pretty sad. You don't do that to your fucking tag team division, for God's sakes. What a joke. That's burial number 1. We'll continue here. The burials continue. So we go into Cedric Alexander and the Viking Raiders, who I don't particularly like the name. I prefer War Raiders. It's kind of stupid to go with Vikings and Raiders. I mean, the Viking Raiders, like, what the fuck? That's like, they basically took the names of 2 football teams and put it in one package for a name for a tag team. That's retarded. That's just ridiculous. But yeah, the Viking Raiders, Eric and Ivar with Cedric Alexander tag team in this decent 6-man tag team match with AJ Styles, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows. The match was back and forth basically as usual. We had a lot of action going on here. The fans were pretty much highly into it. I didn't really have any beef with the match itself, except for the end result. I think the end result really blowed. The Raw Tag Team Champions, Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, would benefit more as a tag team, even if you had them win and retain their tag team titles against the Viking Raiders, just to give the Viking Raiders a rub to put them into a tag team title contention position. I think would be a great idea. This opportunity where it was at, and really what would have been best is have the Viking Raiders double team on AJ Styles, pin him 1, 2, 3. Now, granted, I understand he's a U.S. champion. Why would you do that? It's real simple. They are not singles competitors. They're tag team partners. So them attacking and defeating AJ Styles in the 6-man tag team match, that means absolutely nothing. It goes nowhere unless Cedric Alexander picks up a victory against AJ Styles, which you don't want to do on top of that. It really doesn't make any sense. So the Viking Raiders really should have been the ones to pick up this victory. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. AJ Styles ends up beating Cedric Alexander again for a second consecutive time. This was an absolute joke. Now, at this point, you have no way of using Cedric Alexander for a U.S. Championship opportunity. That opportunity is long and gone now at this point. And then on top of it, just to make matters worse, we get Cedric Alexander getting a Styles Clash from the top rope onto the mat after a brawl broke out from the match being over. How can you get any more buried than that? I mean, Ricochet got buried pretty bad, but that's burial at its finest, really. You lose a match and then you get beaten down in an aftermath brawl. What a fucking joke. I mean, really, that is pathetic. Let's move through here. So, we get footage earlier in the day with R-Truth with Kane at the Volunteer Museum. This was completely idiotic and dumb as fuck. I mean, you got R-Truth. He's a great talent. He could put on a good match with anyone you put him up against, and yet you give him this bullshit. You make him like a klutz. You make him fucking mourn. He's calling Kane the President of the United States. God knows, maybe he probably would do better than Donald Trump at this point. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. But bottom line, this was just completely idiotic. They had this on 3 different occasions throughout the show with segments of Kane and R-Truth together. There was one thing that was funny. The referee, the cop that was shown in the second segment was a referee, and he was portraying a cop. And him going ahead and just saying, okay, I gots to go, and he runs right into a field goal post, I thought was funny as shit. And then Kane pinning him for a 1-2-3 was pretty interesting. But at the end of the day, was it really necessary? Was the title change needed? No, absolutely not. This title is dead as dead can get. When he won the 24/7 title and Kane disappeared out of the picture, I said to myself, holy shit, maybe they finally got rid of the 24/7 championship and let it retire with Kane at this point, since they're not going to have Kane on the show week after week while he's a champion. We won't have to worry about that anymore and be done with this fucking horrendous belt. Fortunately, that wasn't the case. R-Truth later on in the show gets the title, wins it back from Kane, and then Kane goes into the show anyway. Almost chokeslams R-Truth to win back the title anyway, but R-Truth talks some sense into him. And God knows, Kane really doesn't even need that title. Wally's not even a full-time wrestler, he's not even part-time wrestler. So in his case, if he could do any worse to his career, him winning back that title and moving forward with that belt would be detrimental to his fucking whole legacy of his character. Bottom line. It was just a fun little dumb thing that they were doing, which to me was idiotic and stupid. It did nothing for either one of these guys at all. But thankfully, we didn't get to see R-Truth run around the fucking arena with about 10 to 15 people chasing after him at one time in the middle of a match. Alright, so we get to the biggest disappointment of the entire show. This King of the Ring 2019 finals. I honestly don't quite understand this. If you're going to give Baron Corbin this win, why boost Chad Gable so much to the fact that he looked like he was going to win? This match was so good, it had to be Chad Gable's win, and they didn't give it to him. Baron Corbin has gotten more opportunities for a Universal Championship this year you can shake a stick at. I don't think anybody has gotten more Universal Championship opportunities outside of Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. Other than those two people, Baron Corbin has been the top person that they've given opportunities to succeed, and yet they haven't pulled the trigger on him because they know damn well he ain't worth doing that. So why give him this opportunity to win the King of the Ring tournament when they're really not going to do anything with him in the first place? Are they going to put the title on him now that he won a King of the Ring tournament? Like, who the fuck cares? Honestly, a guy that should have won the fucking tournament should have been Kevin Owens. Should have been Mustafa Ali. Chad Gable in this situation, just based on this one match alone, and the Cinderella story that they were trying to provide here, really was kind of a cool thing that they were doing, that I think that would have been okay to give him this and push him in a mid-card championship run. That would help boost his name and get him out there for fans to be interested in seeing what is next for this character. But other than that, this match was great, but the ending of the match was just downright horrendous. Why waste our time for 20 plus minutes to give us Baron Corbin to win the King of the Ring finals? Makes no sense to me. They could have cut it down to like 10 minutes and gave more time to some other people that, could use it. I mean, Chad Gable, Great thing in his case, he got a lot of airtime, but he didn't win the match, so it really doesn't do anything for me. So let's move down here through the show. We then had a Street Profits providing the gender of Maria Kanellis' child. This segment was utterly retarded, worse than R-Truth and Kane. Holy shit, this was fucking bad. So R-Truth, not R-Truth, the Street Profits find out that it's a boy from Maria Kanellis. She goes ahead and lies and says that Ricochet was the father, not Mike Kanellis. Okay, we're going Jerry Springer on this shit. Alright. Okay, so we get a false situation. There was one comment that Montez Ford says that's funny as hell. Baby on a pole match for Ricochet and fucking Mike Kanellis. That was priceless comment coming out of his mouth. This match was a complete and utter joke. Didn't even last 5 minutes. Mike Kanellis loses to Ricochet. Thank you, Michael Kanellis, for coming to WWE and becoming the new Kurt Hawkins of WWE. Go back to Impact Wrestling or Ring of Honor because you are appreciated there. You are not appreciated in WWE. Go somewhere where you are appreciated because you are a hell of a talent, yet you're not being utilized as that. So I would recommend going somewhere else where they're going to want to use you. In this situation, not used at all very well. After the match was over, Maria Kanellis comes back out, reiterates that still, no, it ain't his child. It's actually Rusev's child. So now we got another twist to this whole thing, and apparently this is the real legitimate so-called father of this storyline situation that we got going on here. That's just another Dolph Ziggler Rusev deal with Lana's wife involved. Now this is Maria Kanellis being involved as the mistress of Rusev and also being a low-life scumbag cheating on her husband. So we have double adultery going on with an illegitimate child out of wedlock. Holy fucking shit. How fucking retarded can you get? And what worse way to bring Rusev back into the WWE than through this crappy storyline? Can we get Rusev Day back? We actually did get a chant from the fans, Rusev Day, but that was not even acknowledged, of course. And he looks absolutely great body-wise. His hair, gotta get it longer. It looks like shit short. Just gonna say that as my own opinion, and get rid of the mustache. You look ridiculous. But honestly, this is a ridiculous way to bring him back into the fold with WWE, and not to mention put him in a distasteful storyline where he's cheating on his wife supposedly. God, that's fucked up. So let's move through here. We already talked about a second segment with Kane and winning the 24/7 title. We then had Cesaro and Rey Mysterio in a one-on-one match. After the Kane and R-Truth segment where Kane wins the 24/7 title. Rey Mysterio and Cesaro's match was very dry, luster. It really wasn't all that entertaining. Didn't bring out any value to me. I really didn't care for this fucking match whatsoever. I feel bad for Cesaro, especially eating another loss to his record. This poor guy has done nothing. I mean, the only thing he seems to be able to do is tag team wrestling with Sheamus, but he's out with injury. So he's still doing singles competitor matches and doing nothing whatsoever with this opportunity. They're not doing anything with him. They're not building him into anybody. I mean, if they're going to put him back in the fold with Sheamus, why not have him rack up some wins here so that he looks legitimate as a tag team partner with Sheamus? I mean, it brings more belief in their tag team that they're going to be winners when they get back together. Him facing Rey Mysterio, I think, is another bad idea. If you want Rey Mysterio to rack up wins, you can't have another person who needs wins to do that. So this whole situation was completely fucked from the get-go because neither one of these guys could take a loss here. And Cesaro ate the loss, and that was basically it. And then on top of it, the match itself wasn't all that great to begin with. So it was a lose-lose situation all around for everybody. Let me move down here. Apologize, I'm just doing my using my computer and scrolling down here just to see what everything happened, because I can't remember all this fucking shit off the top of my head. We had the Firefly Funhouse again as a second segment. This was done 3 or 4 different times throughout the fucking show. You don't need 3 or 4 chances to put your point, get your point across. We get it. You're a psychopathic Looney Tune who believes he's making friends with other competitors. And really, the Fiend is the one doing all the dirty work while you're sitting there acting like a buffoon playing Bray Wyatt. So he basically goes ahead and he says Seth Rollins has been added to the wall of friendship with his eyes crossed out and devil horns drawn on his portrait. And that goes to break after that. And he plans on making new friends later on the show, which ends up to be Kane, which I'll explain how he ended up being on the show instead of just being in those backstage segments with R-Truth. Boy, does this show get more and more fucking bizarre and weirded out, and beyond that, boring as fucking hell. I mean, boring as hell, to the point where you want to take a fucking needle and stick it through your eye just to wake yourself up. Anyway, we get Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross facing the Boss and Hug Connection with Bayley and Sasha Banks. Can they come up with a better fucking tag team name for Bayley and Sasha Banks? I mean, the Boss and Hug Connection. Gee, I wonder where they picked that one up from. Oh, I don't know. Maybe the Rock and Sock Connection? Jeez, wow. We're really creative minds there. Couldn't they just go with fucking Sasha Banks and Bayley and leave it at that? I mean, they ain't got no special name for fucking Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. They're not doing anything special with that name. So why are they going through the hassle of making a stupid slogan tag team name for Bayley and Sasha Banks ripping off Rock and Sock Connection, which is by far the best fucking tag team. Well, not the best tag team, but as two unlikely people being together, like The Rock and Mankind, they were one of the best unlikely tag teams in the world to occur. So that was really an entertaining time when they did that shit. This just was a one-sided beatdown. Alexa Bliss was taken out of the match in the middle portion of this match. This match went on for about 10 to 15 minutes, I believe. And we get Alexa Bliss taken out of the match with a knee problem. And at one point, I honestly was saying to myself, with Bayley attacking Alexa Bliss on the side of the ring while the match was still going on, it wasn't over yet, why wasn't the referee calling a disqualification to this match altogether? Because Bayley was not on her side of the ring on her apron, holding on to the tag rope, that white rope that they have by the turnbuckle. So I'm saying to myself, what the fuck is going on here? This makes absolutely no sense. And they just kept going with it anyway, and she finally got attacked, and her knee went out, and she was done. End of story. So, at that point, Nikki Cross is by herself, trying to fend off both opponents, and then Sasha Banks hits the bank statement and makes Nikki Cross submit. And that was the end of the match. Match wasn't all that great. Anyway, after that, we had Banks try to attack Nikki Cross with a chair. Becky Lynch came to her rescue, tried to attack her, and then we get Charlotte Flair coming in there because Bayley is trying to help out Sasha Banks against Becky Lynch. So now we got two unlikely people teaming together as a group against Bayley and Sasha Banks. Who the fuck would have thought of that to happen? You can guarantee this. On SmackDown tomorrow, you're going to see a tag team match, probably main eventing the show if they got nothing else going for them. And they're going to have Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch teaming together against Bayley and Sasha Banks. You can guarantee that. And I'll tell you what, the match probably won't even be that great anyway. It'll end up being some fucking three-ring circus disqualification with brawling going on all over the place. And not to mention, who really cares? So, we move on to other things. We got R-Truth. Oh, yeah, Becky Lynch. Sasha Banks makes a challenge to Becky Lynch, Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Becky Lynch comes back with a statement of upping her by saying, hey, let's do it inside the Hell in a Cell. Which now this match is officially a Hell in a Cell match between Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks for a Hell in a Cell match for the Raw Women's Championship, which I'm totally fine with. That's what I was asking for last night during the Clash of Champions pay-per-view after what we saw. So they're doing things right in that situation. But overall, in itself, none of this shit makes any sense. It's a completely clusterfuck of mess. And it just absolutely sucks. And it's boring. There's really nothing to it. There's no life to the show whatsoever. We had Dana Brooke and Lacey Evans compete in a one-on-one match. Lacey Evans wins with a submission match. Like, why is this match even on the card at all? Is there any point to this? Why didn't they just put them on the fucking main event show that they have for 1 hour during the WWE Network that people can just tune in for if they're really that interested? I don't think anybody is. So who gives a fuck? Then we finally have Robert Roode / Bobby Roode going up against Seth Rollins in a champion versus champion matchup. The match ends with a disqualification with Seth Rollins winning because Dolph Ziggler interferes in the matchup when he tries to get the pinfall. And that's pretty much how everything ends. Then we have AJ Styles and the original club, or the official club, whatever way you want to call them, the OC, come down with Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows with AJ Styles. It ends up being a 5-on-1 attack, and then all of a sudden we have Kane show up as Kane, the Demon Kane with the mask, attacking everybody in its sight, once again proving that they don't give a shit about tag teams. They bury the shit out of everybody. There is no reason for one man like Kane, who is fucking almost 50 years old, kicking everybody's ass, who is younger than him and has a lot more time left in their career to provide to this company and give it what it deserves. A fucking legitimate reason to be around. But unfortunately, Vince McMahon doesn't seem to see it that way. He seems to see it a different way, which all the guys from his time that he valued and helped make into legends beat the shit out of all these people that are now working for him and treating them like absolute crap, like as if they don't exist and they're not important. As usual, Vince McMahon doesn't make anything on the show seem important, maybe because he's afraid of making it important. I have no idea, and I really don't care. I'm just here reviewing this absolute, complete, and utter garbage, which leads to Bray Wyatt coming to the ring, showing up as the Fiend. Lights go out. He comes back in. All this fucking dumb, retarded noise, which is mostly dumb for horrific, horrifying image or graphic type situation, I guess. And he ends up going ahead and attacking Kane with a mandible claw, putting him out of commission, and you see Kane roll out of the ring, basically, I'm done here kind of deal. And we cut to Bray Wyatt as the Fiend, crawling over to Seth Rollins in the corner while Seth Rollins moans in agonizing pain, acting as if, please don't hurt me. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? This show is... I mean, I thought it was kind of cool at first, but, you know, it just was overkill. And then to top it all off, they have this really twisted ending with the Firefly Funhouse graphic, making it flip, turn. They even did a upside down graphic with the list of matches that were going to happen in the beginning of the show, which I was saying to myself, am I losing it? Am I thinking I'm going crazy or something? Am I hallucinating? Or is this for real? Like, what the fuck would they need to make the graphic upside down in the beginning of the show? It made no sense, but thankfully I wasn't crazy because I was asking my roommate what the fuck we're watching here, and he said, yeah, I see the same thing. The thing's upside down. So I thought I was crazy for a moment. But at the end of the day, the whole situation with that graphic at the end was another overkill situation. Everything Vince McMahon does is overkill. It's too much. It's not, he doesn't know when enough is enough. He can't find that medium road, you know. He's got to go way over or nothing at all. I mean, the guy does not know when to take full force with a character and go all the way with it, and then when he finally has something, he pulls back on it and he makes them lose the momentum that they got. This situation is going to happen. You can guarantee this. You're not going to see Bray Wyatt win the fucking Universal Championship. He's going to lose to Bray Wyatt, which in turn is going to hurt Seth Rollins as a face. Honestly, I think that what really needs to happen, but I know it's not going to happen, is The Fiend needs to win the Universal Championship inside the Hell in a Cell and become the new head heel of Monday Night Raw. It's that simple. He needs to be like a Brock Lesnar, only he shows up a little bit more than what Brock Lesnar was delivering. But he at least shows up and defends the title in here and there in pay-per-views. He doesn't have to defend the Universal Championship month to month. He can defend it maybe once every 2 months, once every, defend it 1 month, skip a month, and then defend it another month. Give the WWE Championship the main event spot. So, I mean, they have that opportunity to kind of fluctuate with the title defenses instead of making it month to month, making it really fucking boring, to be quite frank with you. But, at the end of the day, Vince McMahon doesn't know what the fuck is up, what's down, what's right or left or whatever. This guy is so out of place, he does not belong behind a desk anymore. This guy belongs in retirement. He needs to go take a long-awaited vacation for the rest of his life, enjoying his wife, enjoying the rest of what he's got left of his life, and allow other people that are younger than him to take control of the show and make it entertaining again. Because this show ain't fucking entertaining. It's a waste of everybody's time, as I've already mentioned in many different occasions and on many different reviews and videos. Anyway, guys, hit the like button if you liked the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below, and I'll definitely get back to you on that. And I thank you very much for watching. Have a great night.